Hi, my name's Duncan. I'm a software developer at SSW, and I'm really excited tonight to have the chance to interview both Minko and Ludovic about how to set up an awesome front-end build process for Angular2 using Gulp and TypeScript. So, hi guys, thanks for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Tonight we're going to talk about setting up an awesome front-end build process, but before we kick off, maybe you can both introduce yourselves and just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, so Ludovic from France. JavaScript enthusiastic developer. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm not a professional.
Not a professional. Cool.
No.
So Minko, yourself?
Yeah, I'm Minko, and I'm a software developer, currently freelancer, and I'm trying to be active. Actually, I'm trying to be active in the open source community. It's just fun, and that's what I do in my spare time.
Okay, cool. So you guys have the second most or one of the most popular Angular2 templates on GitHub at the moment. And I was really excited to use that. I went and was looking. We've been running some courses here in Sydney and across Australia about Angular2, and we're looking for a template to get started with doing that. And we've been using your Angular2 template on GitHub. How long have you been running that for now?
I just took a look at the first commit. It was on 8th of March.
8th of March?
Or actually 22nd of March.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would have been quite fun, trying to keep up with all the changes.
Yeah, actually we've tagged all the alpha versions since then.
How many alpha versions have you gone through?
Let me take a quick look. I think
20-something.
20-something. Yeah.
Wow, 20-something. And we're at 37, is that right? Or what number are we
47.
at? 47. Okay,
Yeah. Great.
So I'm really excited. One of the things that I first found when I used your project was that all the Gulp was in TypeScript, and we're very used to using Gulp at SSW, but I haven't actually had the chance to dig under the covers and how you set that up. So I'd be really interested to get a walkthrough of how it actually works and how you get Gulp working with TypeScript versus JavaScript.
Yeah, sure. Ludovic, do you want to?
Yeah, why not? That's not. Yeah, first of all, it was not written in TypeScript initially. Mm-hmm. When I jumped into this project with Minko, it was in May something. It was written in JavaScript, so I translated to TypeScript the application first. Then we thought, would be nice to have the entire seed written in TypeScript. So just gave it a try with Gulp. Realized that actually it supports TypeScript out of the box through the use of tsnode package. So basically Gulp looks for a gulpfile.js or .ts, and if it finds a TypeScript file, execute it through tsnode. I think that's what happened in the background.
Okay, so if someone wants to set it up from themselves on a different project than the seed project, what exactly do you need to do? You need to go get which packages, the key ones that actually execute the TypeScript?
Well, tsnode, I guess, and TypeScript register probably, because the Gulp needs to require basically the TypeScript files, and in the meantime, basically they are extending the They're extending the require function in Node. Basically, it allows you to define different handler for a different file type, and TypeScript require just exactly that. They define handler for TypeScript files. So they need to install Gulp, I guess tsnode, and probably TypeScript register.
Okay, and so if you've got those three things, do you need to do anything more to set it up? Once you've set up Gulp, as long as it's in TypeScript and you've got that package TypeScript register, it works, or there's an extra step?
Yeah, you need to install the type definitions.
Yeah.
At least for Gulp and any other library you would use.
So this
Yeah,
TypeScript
so-
register, does that just do all the work for you once you've got it, it's working? Or do you need, is there extra, sounds like silly questions, but I'm kind of like, what are the actual steps you need to take to get it to all kick off and start working in the TypeScript? Is it the TypeScript register that picks up the files and recognizes they're in TypeScript and does the work, or? Because you never see the files actually go to JavaScript.
They actually, on background, it goes transpiled to JavaScript. So basically Gulp4, I guess, it uses a plugin called, it uses package called liftoff, which is something which allows you to bootstrap your CLI tool that you want to build. And internally, this liftoff plugin, it uses something called interpreter or interpret, something like that, which allows you to require plugins, files from nodes with different extensions. It allows you to require CoffeeScript files and TypeScript files, and basically ECMAScript 2016 and 17 using Babel. So that's basically what you need. You need Gulp, which behind the scene uses all these packages, and you need TypeScript register.
Okay, but you never save the
no
JavaScript anywhere. It's just kind of in memory, executes it into, transpiles it into JavaScript, or it does save it somewhere and then cleans it up, or?
No, it's done in memory.
In memory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it does some caching in the temp directory of the operating system, because otherwise, if you require the same file twice, it needs to be transpiled twice.
Yeah.
So they are just caching it in case you require it twice.
Oh, okay, that makes it heaps clearer exactly what the pieces are and working. So what are the benefits? Is it worth the effort to get your Gulp into TypeScript?
Yeah, definitely. You have much better tooling while you're typing in your text editor or IDE. You get out completion. You have all the type errors that you have done, because it's kind of common to have undefined is not a function in JavaScript.
Yeah.
And in using TypeScript with the type definitions, you almost eliminate these issues.
Yeah.
And actually, Ludovic, he did a great job in finding all the type definitions of all the packages and defining some of the type definitions by his own. Cool. So that's the only painful part, I guess. He can say more about this.
Yeah, and I think it's not in the end just related to Gulp. It's whether you want to code using TypeScript in general. I found myself moving completely to TypeScript just for the tooling. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard to express that to people, isn't it? To be able, like, when people are kind of like, I mean, TypeScript's all cool and everything now, people think it's sexy, but 6 months ago when you talk to someone about TypeScript, before Angular said they were going to use it, everyone was like, oh, that's like this .NET thing.
Yeah, definitely. It looks, it's coming from the C# for sure, but yeah, at least for me, it was very easy to do the jump, and it would be difficult to go backward, because of course it comes at the cost of managing definition files. But in the end, it's not that huge, and you can easily make your own. That's what I've done for some of the packages we're using. Of course, they are not accurate, but they are sufficient to have the benefit of the tooling and type checking.
I was going to ask you guys, I'm really interested. I always like asking people whether or not they turn on the no implicit any, and they like to have their application fully typed so that they can't just have it kind of loose. What do you guys like to do? Do you make it so you have to say that something is an any type if you're not going to type it? Or do you not turn that on?
I've tried that once, and I think the very also good part, and I have to mention that about TypeScript, it's JavaScript is valid TypeScript, so it's kind of progressive. Can go progressively, move to TypeScript sugar and functionalities, and JavaScript has been loved because of the loose type. I think that's a strength, a very, very big strength of JavaScript. So not having a single any, that's difficult to manage, and maybe, it's too expensive.
Yeah. What about you, Minko? What do you do?
Well, I'm trying to restrict the amount of any types to as much as possible. So I'm trying to be as much explicit as possible. But sometimes you can't be that.
Yeah.
You can't predict the type for everything.
Yeah.
And it just takes you too much effort to do that.
It's funny when I ask C# developers, they're like, no, everything has to have a type. But when, I don't know, I've been using Angular 1 with TypeScript for about a year, and it was kind of like, came down from the management, you have to use TypeScript. So for the first 6 months, I was like forced to do it. Now I'm in love with it. But yeah, I couldn't imagine if I had to have that turned on, it would just take me so much longer, and it would probably more get in the way than help. So yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah. So in terms of setting up an awesome front-end build process, what do you guys think of the other options of using, rather than using Gulp, using something like Webpack or JSPM? What do you think's the ultimate? Obviously, you've used Gulp, but
Grunt.
And Grunt, yeah, there's Grunt as well. But Grunt and Gulp seem pretty similar, but like things like Webpack look kind of quite different. Yeah. Do you have an opinion on that? What do you think is going to be the winner for Angular2?
Well, there was a survey from Patrick Stapleton and Gechev, who are building Universal, on which on some there were some questions. One of them was which is going to be the ultimate build tool for Angular. I think that Gulp was on first position in their survey, but pretty close to it was Webpack. So I guess I'm not sure that there is going to be a supreme winner here. Maybe just like we currently use different tools for building our Angular 1 or even React applications, maybe I guess it's going to be exactly the same for Angular 2.
Okay, so you don't think we're going to see the Angular team say we should all use this tool and everyone will go in the same direction? You think we'll continue to have this kind of diversity?
Yeah, I guess they're not going to force anyone to use a specific tool. Maybe they're going to implement configuration for Gulp in their CLI tool, but I guess I don't think they're going to force developers to use anything specifically.
Yeah. So you think they're going to? So that's one thing I've been thinking along the lines. We're very used to using Gulp at SSW, and we're kind of watching these other tools, and we're thinking, is it all going to change? Are we all going to jump over and start using something like JSPM? And if Google and the Angular team announce that their CLI is going to be based on a different type of setup than Gulp, then that means we're all going to have to go learn this new thing. So it's interesting to kind of hear you guys say that Gulp's probably still going to be a strong contender.
Yeah, it's also strong and will remain strong, I think, because you can write also vanilla task. It's just scripting, so you can basically use it as a sequencer or task administrator only. You don't necessarily need to use the the Gulp streams, for instance.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next on the cards for you guys with your seed project? Your Angular 2 template?
Yeah, well, so Angular 2 is still not in beta, and it is definitely not production ready yet. But so we didn't have production builds. However, Ludovic is working on a production builds in a separate branch now, and I guess we're going to merge it next couple of days.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's System.js based right now. Yeah, I've done some tests with Browserify, but I'm not an expert with this tool. But for now, the easier to use I found, at least for making bundles, which seems to be a topic and would be a topic, I think, for lazy loading components or sub-application, whatever. Yeah, it's good for that. It comes with code overhead to the files, but from my point of view, it's not critical. I understand for some it can be.
Yeah. So have you guys played around with that much? Have you had a chance to do some lazy loading with Angular 2 and not kind of bundling the entire application up to pass down as one file at the end of kind of a build task for kind of a production ready app?
I haven't built anything close to production ready with Angular2. I did some research on lazy loading of components. I have a blog post about this. Basically, the router allows you to lazy load components, and this way the entire graph of dependencies, which is wired up with given component attached to the route, won't be downloaded. It will be downloaded on demand. So this is something that Angular provides, but there is still an open question: how are you going to bundle these dependencies in order to allow this lazy loading, and how you're going to what type of loader are you going to use for the bundle? There are still a lot of open questions for this. So, but it will be possible.
And in the end, I don't think there would be a single answer.
So,
again,
so it's the same with the answer for Gulp. We'll have multiple tools that people will use.
Yeah, because what I basically did in this branch was with System.js, because there is some syntactic sugar, but I could have done exactly the same with required.js, for instance.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and it's good that it's agnostic, because you can integrate ng2 application in existing ng1 app, so you may have a specific workflow and you want to continue with that while migrating. I think
that's something I haven't thought about. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you guys get asked this just as much as me. When do you think Angular2 is going to be ready?
Never.
A good question.
Never.
Yeah. It would be a living framework, I guess. Yeah.
So when do you think we'll see beta? Just ballpark figure. What do you think?
Maybe by the end of the year or by the beginning of the next year. And I guess it might be released around ngconf or a little bit before that, but these are only just suggestions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still missing quite a lot compared to ng1, but yeah, the core looks stabilized at least. Yeah.
So what are the key things that you see that are still missing from Angular 2 versus Angular 1? I mean, there's obviously lots of new stuff, but you're mentioning some stuff that's not there yet.
I don't think there is anything like ng messages yet. And I don't think so.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm pretty happy with what Angular 2 has right now.
I'm quite surprised how easy it is to use. We've made like a small to medium kind of hello world copy of like a ASP.NET Classic training tool called the MVC Music Store, and we based it on your seed project, which has been so helpful to not have to deal with all the changes that come through with Angular and just keep piggybacking your project. But I was surprised at how easy it's been to get something working with, and simple app, like just a simple CRUD application with some routing and some child routing and a bunch of views and a bunch of components and some authentication with Auth0 and stuff. I've been quite surprised at how much you can get done. It doesn't feel too alpha if you're just using simple things.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So if someone was to ask you, if they're going to build something for production, when would you suggest that it would be what would be the category that someone would have to fall in to start building something in Angular 2 now, even if they're not going to maybe release it right now? Or would you just say don't?
I think it's possible to start. You just have to be ready to upgrade.
Go through some pain.
Yeah.
I guess that's the right answer. And it still depends what is the budget of your project and what is the timeline. It depends on a lot of things.
Yeah. I love watching you guys squirm to answer the question, because people ask me and I do the same thing. I'm like, it depends. So yeah, it's interesting.
But if you start something, after Christmas and you have 6 months, 7 months to release something, maybe it's not a bad idea to start.
Okay.
Yeah, and if the client pays for slight refactoring from time to time when new beta is released.
Yeah, you'd have to be.
The thing is, you have to stay tuned, to the changes. That's.
Yeah, or they could just keep piggybacking on your seed project and let you guys keep up with all the changes. But still things will change beyond the scope of that, yeah. But
I think when we'll get close to a production-ready NG2, we'll have to be careful with the changes. I think so far it's been a bit loose, backward compatibility, stuff like that could have been better. But yeah, not maybe very relevant as well. But yeah, we'll have to be careful with that, I think, in the future. Yeah.
So have you guys had a chance to play with the new tools around like NG Forward and NG Upgrade at all? Wait.
No.
Oh, on Angular Connect, I took a look at these tools for a pre-file. I have, NG Forward, actually, it was released a few months ago, in May, I guess. A guy who's working on, Uri, who is working on Angular Meteor, he mentioned it on NG Vegas. So it looks awesome. I haven't tried it yet, but it looks awesome to define your Angular 1 building blocks of your application using Angular 2 syntax.
Yeah.
About Angular Upgrade, well, it looks cool as well to have both Angular 1 and Angular 2 running in the same application and incrementally migrate your application to Angular 2. But it is still not going to be a completely trivial process because you need to fix the entire workflow of your application and just remove the floating components and use directives or Angular 1.5 components instead. So
I was actually really interested to ask you guys as well. I know, Minko, you've been doing some comparisons between React and Angular 2. And I'm really, I've had my kind of head down learning Angular 2 at the moment, and I've got React kind of keeps popping up in my backlog, and I'd love to spend some time getting into it because people rave about it. But maybe you can give us some insight to what your thoughts are about, when someone should use Angular 2 or when someone should use React.
Yeah, sure. So we did a meetup called Clash of Technologies here in Sofia, where we discussed different advantages and disadvantages of both Angular 2 and React. And actually there is an open document with all the different points during the comparison, which was published on Hacker News. It got to the front page.
Wow.
So basically, React and Angular 2, I guess the biggest, so they are similar in the way that they both allow you to define the front end, the UI of your application, and both of them are component based right now. But they differ in almost everything else. So Angular 2 provides you, Angular 2 is a framework. It's actually a platform for a development platform according to Angular.io. So it provides you the entire set of tools that you need to develop a single-page application. It allows you to define your view. You have routing, you have dependency injection and services, and these pipes. In React, you have only the view. You have you can define primitives such as components and compose them together in order to define the view of your application. But everything else, right, like routing or most of the stuff which is essential for building your application, you need to use packages which are developed by the community, not by the core team.
Yeah.
So this might be kind of a disadvantage of React because not the same team supports all the tools which are essential for your application. So the integration between them might not be completely smooth. But still, if you want to build everything from scratch without using a predefined set of tools, you can bet on React. Otherwise, if you want to be kind of more secure, I guess, you can just take what Angular 2 provides and use it for your application once it is released and production ready.
Cool. So do you think, so it sounds like if you're building an enterprise application for a customer, then it might be faster to use Angular 2 because you don't have to get as much third-party tooling. Is that right? Or would you say that there's no difference in the speed of developing a program?
I guess it might be a little bit easier to start application with Angular 2 because you have the routing and all the gather stuff which Angular provides out of the box with the framework itself. But it still depends on the team that is building the application. If they have prior experience with React, definitely React is going to be the best option.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In both, you have options to use static typing. In both, you can use Flux or different Flux variation or MVC or whatever you want to.
Okay. So at the meetup, was there a strong energy to go either way at the end? Was it like 3/4 of the group saying, I'm going React or Angular, or was it kind of split in the middle?
Well, some of the guys on the meetup, they were disappointed from the difference from Angular2 because it's completely different from Angular1, and they are kind of angry that they need to go through all this painful migration process. Actually, not that painful, rather than a long migration process for huge applications. Mm-hmm. So some of the guys were on the React side because of that, but they were very interested in all the different things that Angular2 introduced, the fast change detection mechanism and the new dependency injection and the fast server-side rendering, things like that.
That's interesting because it's also going to take a bunch of time to go learn React. So I guess it opens the question, doesn't it? If everyone's going to take, a chunk of time to learn Angular 2 compared to Angular 1, then it opens the question, well, maybe I could learn any framework for that investment in time. So
yeah, maybe the learning curve of React is slightly shorter because you have only the view rather than in Angular 2 you have everything.
Yeah.
But
okay.
You need to learn the tools from the third-party library, the third-party tools as well, anyway.
Okay. So in 6 months' time, what do you reckon you'll be using for File New Project? Personally?
Yeah, I'm going to use Angular 2, most likely.
Okay, interesting. And Ludovic, yeah?
Yeah, me too. I never used React, so I'm an Angular guy.
Yeah, you're kind of like me. I keep hearing all these things, and I'm like, I want to find the time. And now it's like, there's so much Angular 2 stuff to learn, and it's getting so much energy that you're kind of like, kind of feel like I've missed the boat.
Sorry.
Go for it.
Yeah, basically when I moved to Angular, I was using Backbone, Handlebars, and all these third-party libraries. And the reason why I moved to Angular is to have, a framework that does all for me, so I don't have to maintain and to follow up updates on all these third-party libraries.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So
I think it's critical if you look at not just the technology, but time it costs to maintain application. I think it becomes important to take care of the dependencies.
Yeah, and also for a team as well. I think if you've got a team, like you were saying, Minko, like it really depends on your team and what their skills are. But if you end up with a quite a big application and a lot of people on there, and everyone's used to one side, then I guess that really helps. But it's more likely that everyone's probably going to learn the framework if you're in that sort of environment. It seems like React kind of has this more, I don't know, it's kind of maybe not so much, I'll say the words like less enterprise. Seems more like the hipsters and the cool kids are using it a lot more than, say, the banks and the enterprise. But even here, it seems like it's changing. I've got a friend who is looking for work in Sydney, and he's like, for the first time I'm starting to see jobs going, we want a React developer. So,
I'm using React for a pretty big application myself, and I didn't have any problems in scaling. Of course, you have to invest a little bit more time in building your initial architecture in order to allow you to scale well. Mm-hmm. But after that, everything goes pretty smoothly.
Okay, excellent. So is there any other things that you'd like to talk about or mention tonight?
Well, I think we covered all the things. So I don't have anything to add.
Okay, excellent. So I would also like to say a huge thanks for all the effort you put in on that project. I see my email light up all the time with lots of commits and conversation around the project. It's pretty cool that someone else is doing all that work for us. So I really appreciate it. I don't know if you get too many thanks for it, but you should.
Yeah, we're glad that you're using it and it is helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and try to make useful. So when you want to start an app, it's the first choice, So it's not just for playing; it's for working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, if you have any suggestions on how we can improve it, or you have any feature requests or something, just feel free to ping us.
Awesome. Well, now I might be annoying you,
definitely.
so looking for some routing stuff to come into it. That would be fun. So thanks for watching tonight, and I hope you enjoyed this interview with Ludovic and Minko. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers. Thanks for watching.